Hi guys, and welcome to this week's videos. So first guys, we are going to talk about how to tell what foods are really healthy or not. Basically, everywhere that you go, you will see different information, different foods that are labeled as healthy, different types of drinks and all those things. You can get really confused about what is truly healthy. So I decided to make it very easy for you guys to really understand for yourselves individually what is healthy and what is not. We are going to take a look at this a bit closer now with different types of foods and things to drink. First of all, we have animal-based or plant-based foods. As you know, veganism has become very popular in today's times. I talked about this before, but in this video we're going to get deeper and I'm going to make better explanations overall about all of those things. So when I talk to other people in general in life, I understand that everyone are confused about everything and nobody knows what to do in terms of diet or exercise. And you are probably been confused or you are still confused about some foods at some point. First, guys, it's very important to know your own body and to figure out what is good for you with time, because certain things that are good for other people will not be good for you. This brings me back to the veganism. Veganism is healthy primarily to clean the organism of people that have eaten very bad foods throughout their lives, and veganism could be a break to the whole body and a way to clean the body within certain months. But beyond that, veganism could be dangerous to your long-term health. There are very few people in this world who could actually thrive, not only survive, but thrive on veganism and be healthy for real. Very few people. Most of us have the genes to eat meat and animal products. We are just grown this way. The generations before us have been nurtured, have been developing with foods that are animal-based primarily, and all the vegan things, all the vegetarian foods, that has been like an addition that's very important addition. But veganism or vegetarianism, they were never something that's the main part of the diet. It was always like supplementation to the diet. And this is in our genes to this day. So that's why for most people, we have to survive mostly on animal-based foods and not plant-based foods. So animal-based versus plant-based, the difference is in bioavailability. This is the capacity of the body to understand, to assimilate the different nutrients, to understand, to recognize these nutrients and to allocate them throughout the body where they're really needed. The absorption of those nutrients and so on. So when something is more bioavailable, well, that is what you need to really gain the benefits of the particular food or micro or micronutrients. So which foods from the animal-based foods are healthy? Well, for most people, once again, for most people, different types of meat is going to be healthy, like beef, pork, and I'm mostly talking about the lean meats because the fat on the meat, not that it's not healthy, but it could be also, of course, not healthy if you're consuming it in a way that it is too much. And of course, it's very high in calories. And the other thing is that fat does not to be converted in the body in order for it to become fat. It's just already fat and it's going to be stored super easily compared to proteins or carbs, which have to be first converted into fats if they're extra on the body in terms of caloric intake. So fats is the thing that just is getting under your skin and amongst your organs the easiest. So you gotta be very careful about fat, and that is why I'm mostly consuming meats that are lean, and I'm getting my fat from the yolk of the eggs that I'm consuming, and I'm always consuming full eggs and never like just the egg whites because they're great, but the egg yolks is where everything is in terms of the healthiness. Of course, the white is where the protein is, but the egg yolk is where all the rich nutrients is. And so what is healthy about the plant-based foods? Well, there's a lot of nutrients, of course, in leafy greens, in fruits and vegetables. But first, when we take a look at fruits, fruits have their own types of sugar, and that sugar could be not extremely healthy, but if you moderately consume fruits like 1 or 2 apples and oranges a day, that's gonna be fine as long as you don't overconsume, because I personally gain weight from peaches. It is very easy to gain weight from peaches and other fruits that are high in calories. Also, you have to know which fruits are higher in the glycemic index, because although maybe and probably and hopefully you're not a diabetic, you could become one if you overly consume different types of sugars in more quantities than you should, and that is going to be also determined by your physical activity day to day. So for example, the best types of fruits are different types of berries like strawberries, blueberries, well, a lot of types of berries. They're very low on the glycemic index and very high in nutrients. So you can eat them even if you're diabetic. And if you're not, that's just gonna help you a lot. When it comes to bananas, they have a lot of starch, which is going to slow down the absorption of sugar. And when it comes to vegetables, carrots, the leafy greens, as I said, you have to be careful about nitrates. So if you consume, let's say, leafy greens that have less nitrates, you gotta know your sources. If you buy from like a farm-based market, like farmers market or grocery store that have good sources of where they're getting their stuff, you have to be careful with, let's say, broccoli. If you have the tendency to create gas from such vegetables, everything that has to do with beans can create a lot of gas. So you can see beans as something that could be healthy because they have very healthy things in them, but the gas and the irritation of the gut is not healthy. So you gotta be careful about those things, and once again, know your body. Absolutely everything that we are going to mention here could be very unhealthy and could be healthy. So it's all about the quantities that you're consuming, and that's why I always advocate to watch what you're consuming and log it with MyFitnessPal or something just as good, which I haven't found yet. But if you find something as good as MyFitnessPal, which has the best food database on the planet, that's gonna be great. So you won't have to log in the foods if they're not on the app, but 99% of the time they are. So that is how you're going to know how much protein you have consumed, how much fat, how much carbs you have consumed. Now we go to oils, vegan or once again plant-based or once again animal-based. When we're talking about regular butter from a cow, that is good. It contains vitamin K. It is just very, very healthy overall, but still it's a fat, so you have to consume very little of it each day. Well, if you like. Then the other types of fat is just pure animal fat, which some people also consume. That is also good in very small quantities, so the same thing apply. When it comes to vegetable oil, like extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, those can be healthy in very small quantities as well. I usually remove oils from my kitchen whatsoever because I don't need them. You can put the eggs on the naked pan. These days, most pans are non-stick, so you don't need the oil. You just need to make sure that the pan is very well heated before you put the eggs on, and they will not stick. So yeah, that pretty much removes oils altogether. You can eat some coconut oil as it is. It is good to not put it through heat at all. So oils through heat is never a good thing. Just avoid that as much as possible. Never eat fried foods as well. I avoid all the fried foods possible in my life. Sometimes I eat fried potatoes when I'm out when there's some kind of a holiday to celebrate, and I'm out and I'm eating like some baked meat, street food, but still mostly baked meat with some potatoes, so it's not the end of the world. It's mostly good rather than it isn't. So that is the only occasion where I allow myself to eat anything fried. Fat at least is drained from the potatoes. Then we have everything that has to do with grains, white flour, dark flour, full grain. What's the difference? Well, the difference mostly between full grain or not is just that in the full grain you have the peel that is like on the very surface of the grain, and the peel contains more fiber. It is good to have there, but that will not save you from gaining weight if you just overly consume such full grain flours or spaghetti or whatever, because the amount of calories that these contain is the same as regular grain. So the only saving grace that you have is the fact that you will consume a bit more fiber. That will slow down the absorption of the carbs themselves in the grain. But that will not save you, because back when I was trying to get healthier and lose all the weight that I gained, now a ton of years ago, I thought that full grain and like vegan milks and whatever are going to save me, but they did not. They totally destroyed me. So you gotta be very careful. In this case, full grain can be bad if you think that it's good and then you overconsume large amounts of it. So no, just get that out of your head. As long as you consume small amounts of bread, lavash. I'm eating lavash from time to time, but one piece is like 47 grams, which is not very much. But I'm trying to avoid bread altogether. And when I eat lavash, I eat it like 2 weeks at a time, and then I stop, even less than a week sometimes, because it really affects the way that my gut is. And I don't feel good in my lower section. I feel a bit bloated. So all of the flour is just not good for your intestines. It's just not. You gotta know your own body. If you don't get more bloated, then maybe you can consume more. Maybe it's about the gluten. I'm pretty sure I'm not gluten intolerant, which is basically a plant-based, grain-based protein that some people are not tolerant of, but most people are not. So that is not the case. If that was the case, I would have other issues. And this is because I know my body that I notice these differences, but otherwise I wouldn't. Most people wouldn't. I am noticing because I'm so aware by this point. And you can also work toward that too. So we covered mostly fruits and vegetables. There are some vegetables that are just very good, like tomatoes, but roast tomatoes in particular are the best if you can get roast. I think that's how it is in English as well. They're bigger, they look more rosy than red, and they're a lot more tasty than regular tomatoes. So have that in mind. Also with peppers, when you're talking about peppers for cooking, red peppers are better than green peppers, but eating both is still good. Just get some peppers in your life from time to time. Not spicy peppers, you can also get that. That's also very good for vitamin C. But I'm talking about the big peppers, which you'd get to make like mishmash, which is a great meal you can do with cheese or quark. Yeah. Oh, on the side of the animal foods, cheese that's low fat, quark, it is kind of like cheese, but basically almost pure protein. That's what you should aim for. Cheese that is as natural as possible, not processed cheese, never buy that, but just like quark, which is like a white, grainy cheese type of a thing with no salt. You can add some Himalayan salt to that. And when it comes to salt, Himalayan salt, don't consume regular salt that much. Just avoid it as much as possible, but do consume like sea salt or Himalayan salt. It is just very good. It has a lot of minerals and it has potassium. You'll just not get these so easily. It is very good to consume salt. It is something that you cannot live with. You can live without sugar, but you cannot live without salt. So have this in mind. We already covered eggs a bit. They're superfood. You cannot get your cholesterol up from eggs. That's nonsense. That is very old news. Eggs have two types of cholesterol that cancel each other out. Basically, the body takes whatever it needs from the eggs, absorbs it, and what is left as the negative cholesterol, it just cancels, it just removes it from the body and you're left with all the benefits of the eggs, but none of the drawbacks that people thought that eggs have. Actually, eggs are one of the best foods there are. Really a superfood because it is a whole organism. You're consuming basically a full chicken before it is a chicken. So it's a full organism. It's very, very healthy. When it comes to milk, real yogurt, if you can get real yogurt, which is Bulgarian yogurt. If you cannot, get Greek yogurt. In your country, probably you don't have Bulgarian, but that's the real yogurt with the real bacteria that we actually discovered that makes the yogurt and makes the fermentation process what it is. So from regular milk, yogurt can be created. Now, nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds can be extremely healthy in terms of what they contain, but again, they are vegetable source of nutrition, which means that they're not going to be assimilated in the body the same ways. So, for example, you can get omega-3s from some nuts and seeds, but you cannot replace regular fish oil, which is from fish. So, if you have to get omega-3s, get it from fish oil. And you can consume, of course, nuts and seeds. I really love some nuts and seeds, but just in very small quantities because nuts are one of the most highest in calories foods that you can ever consume. 100 grams of pretty much any nut or seed is above 600 calories. So pretty much on the palm of my hand, just this much could be 600 calories. And that is what? 40% of my daily intake, not to mention how much fat there is in those. And that is why they're so high in calories, because they contain carbs, they contain some protein, and they contain a lot of fat. Nuts in particular, I think, were one of the least things in nature that contain all of the three: the protein, the fat, and the carbs. So to sum everything up, guys, how to tell if something is healthy? Everything, almost everything could be healthy if it's a whole food, if it does not create a bubble gut for you, if you consume it in the right amounts for your body, and if you're physically active. I can consume some chocolate as well and some other things that could be considered not that healthy from time to time, like biscuits. But if I'm very physically active, the body is just gonna assimilate it very well and I'm going to be able to perform, and that's not gonna stick on me. It's not gonna get between my organs where it really causes damage. It's not gonna get into my arteries where it can really clog them up. With all of that considered, you have to also fast, as we talked about before. 16 hours of fasting to the very minimum, so you can get all the benefits from fasting. So yeah, guys, that is it for now. Let me know what you think. If you have any thoughts or questions in the comments, let's proceed to the next video.